he used me as the example. It was like, do it like Michael. You know, and he practiced us with a belt in his hand. And if you miss a step, expect to be,
So now it's your turn. Tell me what you really think about everything we uncovered in today's video. And while you're already scrolling through the comments, don't forget to like, subscribe, and send this video to your friends so they can join the conversation too. And if you're enjoying the content and want to show a little extra support, go ahead and smash that hype button as well. Until next time, thanks for spending your time with The Sauce, your go-to destination for the hottest celebrity news.
Father.
If he hit me, I would hit him back, which was terrible.
Do you think your father was too strict?
Yes. No, he's gonna kill me.
At times, he answered with quiet dignity. Other times, he chose silence over confrontation. But every interview exposed another layer of the man behind the legend. From the wonder of his earliest days to the heartbreaking chapters that closed his journey, these unforgettable conversations revealed the true face of Michael Jackson. The Dinah Shore Show. Picture a quiet 12-year-old boy with a gap-toothed grin, sitting beneath the bright studio lights while taking in a world that already demanded far more from him than any child should carry. That boy was Michael Jackson. Before most kids had even discovered who they wanted to become, he had already mastered life on stage. Seated beside Dinah Shore, he spoke with a calm confidence that felt almost impossible for someone his age, carrying himself less like a child and more like a young star who had quietly accepted that an extraordinary life was simply...
Michael, what is your hobby?
Well, I have my favorite hobby is...
The most unforgettable part of this interview had nothing to do with celebrity, flashing cameras, or crowds of cheering fans. It was the unexpected window into a life very few people ever got to see. Michael Jackson revealed how the Jackson 5 balanced endless touring with their education. A private tutor traveled everywhere alongside them, turning hotel suites, backstage hallways, and even moving tour buses into temporary classrooms. To Michael, learning was never treated as an afterthought. It was essential. Even at only 12 years old, he already understood that success without education could never be enough. What looked like another pleasant television interview quietly became the opening scene of one of the most remarkable journeys the music world would ever witness. Now it's time for today's topic. A mysterious image has been making the rounds across social media, leaving fans with more questions than answers. The picture appears to show a pale-skinned man who closely resembles Michael Jackson, sitting behind a microphone in a bright yellow jacket while gesturing as if delivering a deeply emotional message. Dramatic terror-like effects and bold captions have been layered onto the image, creating an intense and unsettling mood. But where did it actually come from? No one has been able to confirm its origin or authenticity, and that uncertainty has sparked endless debate online. Is it a genuine photograph, an AI creation, or simply fan-made artwork? Share your thoughts in the comments below. American Bandstand with Dick Clark. Despite years of headlines suggesting otherwise, Michael Jackson made it clear that the supposed rivalry was never real. When Dick Clark asked about the rumored competition between the Jackson 5 and the hugely successful Osmond brothers, Michael instantly smiled and laughed. His reaction didn't feel rehearsed, it felt completely genuine. There was no resentment, no jealousy, and absolutely no trace of hostility. Instead, Michael explained that the two groups shared something far different than what the public had been led to believe. They were real friends. They spent time together in hotels, played harmless pranks, laughed behind the scenes, and even talked about settling things with a friendly basketball game. While the media eagerly pushed a rivalry to sell headlines, Michael Jackson insisted that once the stage lights went out, they were simply young entertainers trying to enjoy the few normal moments they could find in lives that were already moving at an unbelievable pace. Interview 02:46/02:51. At a time when the music business thrived on turning talented young black performers against their white counterparts to generate headlines, Michael Jackson quietly refused to play along. When the conversation shifted to Donny Osmond, his answer was filled with sincere respect and effortless kindness, instantly dismantling the manufactured feud. Rather than feeding the controversy, the teenage Michael revealed a simple truth. He saw friendship where everyone else insisted on seeing rivals. Then the interview took a turn nobody expected. With almost effortless casualness, Michael Jackson introduced viewers to the most unusual roommate imaginable, a boa constrictor he proudly called Rosie the Crusher. The audience froze in disbelief before bursting into laughter. It was one of the earliest hints that Michael would never fit inside anyone else's definition of normal. He was unpredictable, endlessly fascinating, and completely comfortable embracing the parts of himself the world would spend decades trying to understand. Soul Train with Don Cornelius. There is a weight that comes with hearing thousands of strangers scream your name, not because they truly know you, but because they believe they already do. That kind of pressure has broken countless grown adults. Somehow, Michael Jackson carried that burden while he was still barely old enough to call himself a teenager. When Don Cornelius sat across from him on Soul Train, Michael looked composed beyond his years. Behind the warm smile and carefully measured answers, however, was a young performer already discovering the hidden cost of worldwide fame. The crowds kept growing louder. The expectations became impossible to escape. And every appearance pushed him one step closer to a future that nobody, not even Michael himself, could fully imagine. Even so, he faced the moment with the quiet self-belief that would later become one of his defining qualities. The roaring fans never shook his focus. The spotlight never stole his composure. Even at that age, Michael Jackson seemed to understand a lesson many artists spend a lifetime chasing, that true greatness isn't measured by talent alone, but by the strength to endure everything that comes with it. Interview 342, 347. By 1974, Michael Jackson had already endured a life that few adults could have imagined. Fame was no longer a dream he was pursuing, it had become the world surrounding him every single day. So when Don Cornelius welcomed him onto Soul Train, he asked a question that reached far beyond music. How could someone so young possibly carry a life this extraordinary without losing himself? Michael Jackson's response came quietly, yet it carried remarkable wisdom. He explained that whenever the chaos around him became too loud to ignore, he disappeared into the music. Once he connected with the melody, the rhythm, and the emotion of the performance, the screaming fans seemed to vanish. Music wasn't simply what he did for a living, it was the one place where he could truly breathe. That answer revealed far more than a strategy for handling pressure. It uncovered the heart of the man behind the global phenomenon. Beneath the endless fame, relentless cameras, and crushing expectations lived an artist whose greatest comfort came through creating something beautiful. While the world watched an untouchable superstar dominate the stage, Michael saw himself as a lifelong student of rhythm, endlessly searching for the perfect emotion hidden inside every note. That single confession may reveal more about Michael Jackson than years of sensational headlines ever managed to capture. For him, music was never a way to run from reality. It was the only place where the world finally became quiet enough to understand. Interview 418, 421. Don Cornelius was never known for handing out compliments lightly, yet during that conversation he openly admired Michael Jackson's remarkable maturity. It wasn't difficult to understand why. Sitting before him was a teenager who had already discovered a lesson many entertainers spend an entire lifetime chasing. When the chaos of fame threatens to pull you apart, music becomes the only place where your footing remains steady. The Carol Burnett Show interview segment. While most teenagers were focused on weekend plans, school dances, and fitting in, Michael Jackson was already thinking about the future he wanted to leave behind. By 1975, his mind wasn't consumed by temporary success, it was fixed on building a lasting legacy. During the interview, he spoke passionately about the Jackson family's determination to gain creative freedom and shape the next chapter of their musical journey. The mission was unmistakable. They no longer wanted to rely entirely on outside writers or producers to define their sound. The Jacksons wanted to create their own music, make their own artistic decisions, and take ownership of their future. It was an ambitious vision, especially for a group that had already achieved more success than most performers could dream of before reaching adulthood. Yet the biggest surprise on the Carol Burnett Show had nothing to do with business or music. It was Michael Jackson's unexpected sense of humor. Away from choreographed performances and perfectly rehearsed appearances, Michael revealed a carefree personality that instantly connected with everyone watching. He laughed without hesitation, exchanged witty jokes with ease, and displayed a natural comic instinct that even Carol Burnett clearly wasn't expecting. For a brief moment, the worldwide superstar faded into the background, leaving nothing but a teenager enjoying himself. For audiences at home, it became another unforgettable look behind the public image. Yes, Michael Jackson was a once-in-a-generation musical talent. Yes, he was already laying the foundation for an extraordinary legacy. But beneath all the fame was still a young man whose laughter reminded everyone that the moments people remember most are often the ones where greatness gives way to genuine humanity. Between thoughtful discussions about music and artistic freedom, Michael Jackson revealed a personality that audiences rarely had the chance to witness during those early years. He was clever, naturally witty, and effortlessly entertaining. As he traded playful banter with Carol Burnett on live television, Michael demonstrated the kind of confidence that made comedy seem as effortless as singing or dancing. Every exchange felt spontaneous, relaxed, and completely real. It also marked an important transformation. The quiet boy from Gary, Indiana, who had once stood behind his brothers, was growing into someone far more layered. Michael Jackson was no longer simply learning to survive worldwide attention. He was beginning to master it, controlling the spotlight, shaping the atmosphere around him, and bending the audience's attention toward his own vision instead of allowing fame to dictate his life. The Mike Douglas Show. Every legendary dancer speaks a language that can't be translated into words. During his guest host appearance on The Mike Douglas Show, Michael Jackson revealed that every movement he performed was carefully designed rather than left to chance. His choreography wasn't based on instinct alone, it was built with purpose. Michael explained that his unique style blended two very different influences. One came from the natural freedom of street dancing, while the other was inspired by the disciplined techniques of legendary performers he had studied for countless hours. Even as a teenager, he described dance with astonishing precision, breaking apart the Jackson 5's routines as though he were guiding an advanced class in performance. He explained that rhythm wasn't merely something a performer followed, it was something they controlled. A single beat could be delayed, stretched, or emphasized to give every movement greater emotional power. Watching Michael Jackson describe his creative process was mesmerizing. Suddenly, the mystery surrounding his talent faded, revealing that brilliance wasn't luck, it was careful craftsmanship. This wasn't a gifted teenager accidentally becoming successful. This was an artist who had quietly dedicated years to decoding the mechanics of performance, determined to understand exactly how movement, timing, and emotion could leave an audience completely spellbound. 2020 with Sylvia Chase. Off the Wall had changed the music industry forever. Millions of records had already found homes around the world, and Michael Jackson had become one of the biggest stars on the planet. Yet when Sylvia Chase sat down with him for 2020, he admitted something that caught almost everyone off guard. Despite achieving everything he had dreamed of, part of him still wished he could simply disappear. The conversation remains one of the most revealing interviews from his early career. With striking honesty, Michael Jackson described the emotional contradiction that defined his life. He loved creating unforgettable music. He loved standing before an audience. But the constant attention that followed his success often became an exhausting burden. Here was one of the world's most recognizable faces quietly confessing that he sometimes dreamed about walking unnoticed through life, enjoying an ordinary afternoon, taking a peaceful stroll, and existing without thousands of eyes following his every move. It was an astonishing admission. While millions saw an untouchable superstar living the perfect life, Michael Jackson revealed something far more powerful, the deep loneliness that can exist even when the entire world knows your name. Interview 720, 724. Under the stage lights, Michael Jackson seemed unstoppable. It was the one place where fear disappeared, confidence took over, and he looked completely at home. But the instant the final note faded and the applause gave way to silence, everything changed. Away from the crowds, he often retreated into himself. The same performer who could mesmerize packed stadiums became an intensely reserved man in private. It wasn't a carefully crafted image or a mysterious persona invented for the public. It was the genuine struggle of someone living between two completely different realities, one defined by worldwide adoration, the other by quiet vulnerability few people ever witnessed. Entertainment Tonight press conference. Barely 14 months had passed since Thriller arrived in December 1982, yet by February 1984 it had already shattered every expectation imaginable. Platinum awards continued to accumulate, and even industry veterans struggled to explain the phenomenon unfolding before their eyes. When Jane Fonda presented Michael with a major honor, the cameras captured something no one expected. Standing behind dark sunglasses with his trademark shy smile, Michael Jackson looked genuinely overwhelmed. It wasn't false modesty for the audience. He appeared honestly stunned that an album born from his imagination had become something so enormous it now belonged to millions of people around the world. The Victory Tour press conference exposed another side of Michael's character. Standing alongside his brothers and promoter Don King, he faced growing criticism over the tour's expensive ticket prices. Rather than becoming defensive or trying to justify the controversy, he calmly revealed a remarkable decision. Every cent from his personal share of the tour would be donated to charity. Every dollar. There was no grand campaign, no emotional speech, and no attempt to win public approval. It was simply a choice made by an artist standing at the peak of global fame. In that single moment, Michael Jackson reminded everyone that success, in his eyes, had never been measured only by money or applause. Ebony and Jet magazine interview. By 1987, speculation surrounding Michael Jackson's appearance and private life had become impossible to escape. As he prepared to release Bad, he finally addressed the growing storm during a telephone interview with journalist Juan Thompson. His voice reflected sadness far more than frustration. Michael admitted he was disappointed that endless rumors had become more interesting to many people than the music he had devoted years to creating. He wasn't searching for sympathy or asking anyone to defend him. He simply hoped the world would judge him for his artistry instead of the stories surrounding his name. MTV Dangerous Diary offered one of the clearest glimpses into Michael's deepest motivations. While preparing for the massive Dangerous World Tour in 1992, he revealed that the concerts themselves were never the ultimate destination. His real purpose was helping children. Revenue from the tour would support the Heal the World Foundation, and his visits to orphanages across the globe were not carefully staged publicity opportunities. They were the reason he continued pushing forward. Suddenly, the towering stages, spectacular productions, and worldwide tour no longer looked like symbols of ego. They felt like tools serving a mission far greater than entertainment. The vitiligo revelation became one of the most unforgettable moments of Michael Jackson's life. Speaking before nearly 90 million viewers during his historic interview with Oprah Winfrey, he finally addressed the condition that had transformed his appearance. Calmly and directly, he explained that vitiligo had caused the loss of pigmentation in his skin. Then came the statement that carried the greatest emotional weight: "I am a Black American. I am proud of my race." It was one of the most personal admissions he had ever shared with the public. Moments later, when Oprah asked how songs came together in his mind, Michael chose not to explain with words. Instead, he leaned toward the microphone and beatboxed the rhythm of Who Is It, proving once again that beneath every rumor, controversy, and headline lived an artist whose imagination never stopped creating. Interview 1237, 1241. Without hearing a recording or glancing at a single note, his voice effortlessly recreated every drum pattern, melody, and musical texture as though the entire composition lived permanently inside his mind. The Mexico copyright deposition footage. A courtroom is usually the last place where anyone expects to witness the most authentic version of a global icon. Yet that is exactly what unfolded during Michael Jackson's copyright deposition over Dangerous in Mexico City. What should have been nothing more than a routine legal proceeding unexpectedly became one of the most revealing glimpses into his extraordinary creative mind ever preserved on camera. The stage persona faded away. The mystery, the soft-spoken distance, and the carefully guarded image all quietly disappeared. What remained was simply Michael, calm, expressive, sincere, reflective, humorous, remarkably humble, and more at ease with himself than audiences had perhaps ever seen before. Interview 1323, 1327. When the conversation turned to how he created music, Michael Jackson didn't rely on complicated musical terms or false humility. Instead, he explained that songs seemed to find him rather than the other way around. Melodies would suddenly appear in his mind, already complete, as though they were being delivered from somewhere beyond his control, and he was simply chosen to bring them into the world. It wasn't a carefully prepared explanation. It was a conviction he genuinely lived by. Seeing him speak with such openness, free from the walls he usually kept around himself, exposed a powerful truth. The version of Michael the world believed it knew was never the whole person. It was only the character everyone else had come to recognize. Primetime Live with Diane Sawyer. Sitting together before millions of viewers were Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of Elvis Presley. From the very beginning, the public questioned everything. Many critics dismissed the marriage as a publicity strategy, a calculated business move, or another carefully orchestrated media spectacle. But Lisa Marie Presley, who understood firsthand how fame could twist public perception beyond recognition, looked directly into the camera and challenged those accusations without the slightest hesitation. Speaking with confidence and complete conviction, she defended their marriage and insisted that what existed between them was real, regardless of how determined the rest of the world seemed to reject it. Interview 1430, 1434. When the conversation turned to how he created music, Michael Jackson didn't rely on complicated musical terms or false humility. Instead, he explained that songs seemed to find him rather than the other way around. Melodies would suddenly appear in his mind, already complete, as though they were being delivered from somewhere beyond his control, and he was simply chosen to bring them into the world. It wasn't a carefully prepared explanation. It was a conviction he genuinely lived by. Seeing him speak with such openness, free from the walls he usually kept around himself, exposed a powerful truth. The version of Michael the world believed it knew was never the whole person. It was only the character everyone else had come to recognize. Primetime Live with Diane Sawyer. Sitting together before millions of viewers were Michael Jackson and Lisa Marie Presley, the daughter of Elvis Presley. From the very beginning, the public questioned everything. Many critics dismissed the marriage as a publicity strategy, a calculated business move, or another carefully orchestrated media spectacle. But Lisa Marie Presley, who understood firsthand how fame could twist public perception beyond recognition, looked directly into the camera and challenged those accusations without the slightest hesitation. Speaking with confidence and complete conviction, she defended their marriage and insisted that what existed between them was real, regardless of how determined the rest of the world seemed to reject it. Interview 1523, 1528. During the simulcast interview with Bill Bellamy, Michael Jackson wasn't trying to impress anyone or carefully maintain the image the world expected from him. For a rare moment, he was simply enjoying a conversation about music with someone who appreciated it as deeply as he did. The release of History had pushed him back into the global spotlight after years of relentless controversy and public scrutiny. Yet inside that studio, the weight of those battles seemed to melt away. Michael spoke enthusiastically about hip-hop, not like a superstar trying to stay relevant, but like a genuine admirer of the culture. He spoke about the Notorious B.I.G. with unmistakable respect, praising his talent and showing just how closely he followed the changing landscape of music. The conversation also turned to Neverland Ranch, which Michael described not as an extravagant fantasy, but as a peaceful refuge he had built for himself. A place where he could experience the simple happiness and quiet moments that worldwide fame had taken from him long before he had the chance to live a normal childhood. World Music Awards Backstage Press Room. Some of the most revealing moments in a celebrity's life happen after the spotlight fades, hidden behind curtains where few people are meant to look. On this occasion, however, the cameras never stopped recording. Standing inside the crowded backstage press room at the Monaco World Music Awards, moments after once again dominating one of the biggest nights in music, Michael Jackson paused, gathered his thoughts, and quietly delivered a statement that instantly rose above the applause, excitement, and celebration surrounding him. Interview 1634-1639. He spoke about the people who supported him beyond the United States with a sincerity that couldn't be mistaken for a rehearsed acceptance speech. Instead of offering polished thank yous, Michael Jackson sounded genuinely astonished by the bond he shared with audiences across Africa, Asia, Eastern Europe, and Latin America. To him, music erased every barrier. Different languages no longer mattered. Political borders faded away. Cultural divides vanished the instant the first note filled the air. Michael explained that these fans weren't consumed by sensational headlines or endless debates surrounding his personal life. They weren't captivated by scandals, rumors, or whatever story dominated the news cycle. They connected with something far simpler: the music, the emotion, and the message behind every performance. He described that relationship as a form of unconditional love. And hearing those words while standing beneath flashing cameras and facing an endless stream of reporters, it never sounded like the exaggerated gratitude of a global superstar. It sounded like heartfelt appreciation from a man who, despite unimaginable fame, relentless scrutiny, and years of turmoil, still found it almost impossible to believe that millions of people across the world loved him simply because he was Michael Jackson. Interview 1713-1716. It didn't come across as empty praise or a polite remark. It sounded like a truth Michael Jackson had experienced countless times while standing before audiences around the globe, a feeling he carried quietly with him long after the applause had faded. Entertainment Tonight 30th Anniversary Feature. 2 decades is enough time for almost any family to change beyond recognition. For Michael Jackson, those 20 years had been filled with such extraordinary solo success that he no longer seemed comparable to anyone else. He had grown into a global phenomenon occupying a place entirely of his own. The separation from his brothers wasn't measured only in careers. It was shaped by years of emotional distance, personal growth, and a level of fame unlike anything the music industry had ever witnessed. That was exactly why the Jacksons' reunion at Madison Square Garden in 2001 carried such powerful meaning. During his conversation with Entertainment Tonight, Michael described rehearsing for the reunion in a way that caught everyone off guard. There was no sense of forcing the past back together or carefully rebuilding old routines. The choreography, the rhythm, and the unspoken connection returned almost effortlessly, as though time itself had quietly stepped aside. The years separating them seemed to vanish the instant they stood shoulder to shoulder once again. To Michael, it wasn't about bringing back something that had disappeared. It was about rediscovering something that had never truly left, a family of brothers who, before worldwide fame, record-breaking success, and endless expectations, simply found joy in creating music together. Interview 1759-1804. Relying purely on instinct and years of shared muscle memory, the brothers slipped back into the language of movement they had first learned together as children in Gary, Indiana. The rhythms returned without effort, as though they had been waiting patiently beneath the surface all along. When Michael Jackson reflected on performing beside his brothers once again, his voice carried a gentleness rarely heard in his interviews. In that moment, he no longer sounded like one of the world's biggest entertainers. He sounded like a grateful brother rediscovering a piece of himself. After more than 30 years of unimaginable fame had taken him farther than anyone could have predicted, Michael admitted that standing shoulder to shoulder with his family, moving together and trusting nothing but the connection they had built as children, felt more natural than almost anything else he had experienced. Directing, what more can I give? Studio footage. The smoke had barely cleared from lower Manhattan. The heartbreak remained raw, heavy, and impossible to put into words. Yet, while so many people were still struggling to process the tragedy, Michael Jackson had already returned to the recording studio. This time, he wasn't creating another hit for himself. He was creating for those living through unimaginable pain, for grieving families searching for comfort, for communities trying to heal, and for a world desperately looking for hope in the aftermath of overwhelming loss. Interview 1858-1904. The behind-the-scenes footage of Michael Jackson directing the What More Can I Give recording sessions captures a side of him that few people ever had the chance to witness. There was no performance for the cameras and no larger-than-life superstar persona. Instead, he moved with calm confidence between Reba McEntire, Sean Stockman, and the many artists gathered in the studio, completely focused on a purpose that reached far beyond his own career. His vision never wavered. Music had the power to bring comfort, inspire hope, and deliver immediate help to those who needed it most. This wasn't intended to become a tribute released long after the pain had faded. It was created to answer tragedy in the very moment it unfolded, driven by the urgency of people determined to make a difference while the wounds were still fresh. Living with Michael Jackson, the Martin Bashir documentary. For the first time, Michael Jackson unlocked the gates of Neverland Ranch and allowed cameras to travel deeper into his private world than ever before. Beyond the amusement rides, hidden past the colorful candy displays and the private movie theater, viewers stepped into a place built entirely from his own imagination. Martin Bashir followed every step, and the documentary that eventually aired became one of the most fiercely debated television productions of its era. Yet beneath the controversy, the headlines, and the endless arguments was a far more complicated story, a man desperately trying to explain himself to a public that had already formed its conclusions. Michael Jackson wasn't answering questions for a single reporter. He was speaking directly to millions of people who had spent years searching for the truth about him and, perhaps, had already decided what they wanted to believe long before he ever opened his mouth. Interview 2023-2027. Michael Jackson's explanation remained remarkably consistent throughout the years. To him, Neverland Ranch was never about escaping reality. It was a place of healing. The amusement rides, exotic animals, toys, and the constant welcome extended to children searching for happiness were his way of reclaiming the childhood that worldwide fame had taken from him long before he reached his teenage years. Whether people accepted that explanation or dismissed it often depended less on the facts themselves and far more on the conclusions they had already reached about the man behind the headlines. The This Is It London press conference. No one standing inside that room could possibly have known they were watching the final public chapter of an extraordinary life. That heartbreaking truth is what makes the footage almost impossible to revisit today. The O2 Arena shook with deafening cheers as thousands of fans welcomed Michael Jackson onto the stage in the spring of 2009 to announce what everyone believed would be his triumphant return. The occasion was meant to celebrate a fresh beginning, a 50-show residency where he could reconnect with audiences through nothing but music, leaving behind the scandals, courtroom battles, and relentless tabloid obsession. There would be no distractions. Only the stage. Only the music. Michael spoke for only a few moments. He smiled, appeared genuinely moved by the overwhelming response surrounding him, and then quietly delivered a sentence that history would forever reshape. This is it. This is the final curtain call. In that instant, the words sounded like the confident promise of an icon preparing to write one unforgettable final chapter. Only with the passing of time did they take on a far more heartbreaking meaning, a farewell that nobody in the audience realized they had already witnessed. Interview 2140-2146. I love you. I truly do. Those became some of the final words Michael Jackson ever shared publicly with the people who had supported him throughout his life. Only weeks later, the world was mourning his loss. The performances everyone had been waiting for never took place. The long-awaited comeback that promised a new beginning was left unfinished, becoming one of music's greatest unanswered stories. Michael Jackson remains one of the most captivating and deeply misunderstood figures in modern history, a once-in-a-generation artist whose extraordinary gifts were often matched by extraordinary isolation. Looking back across these interviews, spread over decades of triumph and hardship, a different picture begins to emerge. Beyond the headlines, the rumors, and the worldwide spectacle stood a man who spent much of his life hoping to be truly understood, someone whose greatest achievements existed side by side with his most private struggles. The final curtain may have fallen, but Michael's voice was never silenced. It continues to echo through the music he left behind, the unforgettable moments he shared, and the rare flashes of honesty that allowed the world to see the person beneath the legend. And perhaps that is Michael Jackson's greatest legacy, not only that he forever transformed the landscape of music, but that behind all the fame, mystery, and mythology, he reminded us of a timeless truth.